Morning, and thank you for joining us today. It's an exciting day for the 1900 Direct series. Since launching the platform, one of our top priorities has been to implement leading-edge technology for our clients to track their alternative investments. And I'm happy to say, after 9 months of building, we are thrilled to announce and introduce Arch as our partner as we take this major step forward for the Direct series. So with that, I'd like to turn the call over to Jake Allison, our alternatives analyst at 1900 Wealth, to start today's introduction to Arch. Jake?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Matt, and thank you all for joining today. If we haven't met yet, my name is Jake Allison, and I serve, as Matt mentioned, as the alternatives analyst here at 1900 Wealth. We're incredibly excited to formally introduce Arch, and we think you'll find today's session valuable. As Matt mentioned, Arch is a platform we've been building out for nearly 9 months now with your experience in mind the entire time. At a high level, Arch provides a centralized view of your alternative investments, making it easier to track holdings, reporting, and overall performance without having to navigate through multiple portals. We view this as a meaningful enhancement to your experience with 1900, helping make your alternative investment reporting more organized and accessible. If you have questions throughout today's demonstration, please feel free to submit them through the Q&A. We'll plan to address those at the end, and we're always happy to follow up after the session offline if anything requires more detail. With that, I'm going to turn the call over to Robbie Fay and the Arch team to get us started.
Thanks, Jake, and thanks, Matt. It's been a great partnership. Just want to quickly introduce myself. My name's Robbie Fay. I'm a director of sales at Arch. We are a technology company that's sole focus is helping provide more transparency for LPs and investors in alternative assets. We've partnered with the 1900 team, and we've rolled out a great solution that we're looking forward to sharing with you all. But to really kick things off, I want to introduce some of my teammates that have helped along the way, Austin Hilger and Kara Knight, who have been instrumental in this onboarding. They're in the room with me right now, but we're just looking at the demonstration from my screen. But really want to thank them for all the hard work they've done. And I'm going to kick things off with a little bit about Arch, so I'll share a couple slides. So at a glance, we are an 8-year-old technology company. We primarily work with single-family offices, multifamily offices, RAs, and a few institutional investors. We've got roughly 500 billion of alternative assets on our platform across all of our clients. We recently raised a Series B, led by Oak, and that was in August of last year. And we have connectivity to over 50,000 unique funds on our platform. So how we lead the industry and really the problems that we're solving for, I'll get into in a little bit, but just want to touch at a high level. We've identified over 800 unique GP portals in this space, and one of our main purposes is to become that portal of all portals where you don't have to log into an Intralinks or Juniper Square or some other website to see your communications, whether that be a capital call, a K1, or a valuation change. Arch is going to be that single source of truth across all of those different investments, leading you to better organization, outcomes, and results. Across that, I've listed out a couple of the big clients that we work with, 1900 being a great partner in the MFORA space. A couple enterprise customers. We recently launched our public notice and with Goldman Sachs. Several large accounting firms are using us for helping with their clients' K1 aggregation, and then a few other institutional allocators. And really, why we were purpose-built 8 years ago was to help a single family office track down all their K1s from all these various different sources. And in doing so, we've developed several different layers of our technology to extract valuations, to help you track cash flows of these investments, and to give you a much seamless experience in one place. So you really have that single source of truth across all of your unique holdings. So as we see the challenge in the market today, it's a lot of digital communications that come into different inboxes. You might need to relog into a portal. A fund admin could change, and you need to set up a new email address to get that information. We really become the single source of truth for all these investor communications. Um, and this really helps solve the four key challenges that we see our customers are facing, which are getting the documents in one single repository and extracting the relevant data off those so you can understand your unfunded commitments on your investments, you know, any type of unique cash flows you received, how you can process a capital call easier, seeing it through Arch, and then providing some additional insights and reporting, whether that be through some of our AI summaries or being able to chat directly with an investment with some of our chat features that we've established. So after this, I'm going to jump into our platform and give you guys a little bit of an experience of how you're going to be seeing Arch and what's going to be happening, in the next few weeks as you're granted access to it. So, beginning with the end in mind, one of our most popular features for our customers is the Arch Daily Digest. And this is an email correspondence from Arch that summarizes all of your private holdings and any relevant changes that have been digested through Arch and summarized back to you. So, on a given day or week, you'll know that you received a new capital call, but we'll also provide insight into how much has already been contributed inception to date and how much is left unfunded after this capital call is made. We'll let you know when we receive new distributions or account statements, and then we'll also updated some of the metrics that we're receiving, like the net quarterly change, the total value paid in, or the distributions paid in. We also are providing some AI summaries in this daily digest. So think of an investor letter or a quarterly report you might be receiving. Sometimes they can be quite lengthy. We want to give you, the hard-hitting facts of that communication from the GP so that you have a good understanding of, what the managers are communicating to you as the LP. But if this article or this document might be particularly interesting, you can just click right here and there's a hyperlink that will take you directly to the source document and you can read everything that you have there. And then lastly, we're going to be sharing any tax updates with you. So if we receive a final K1, an estimate, or a draft, that's something that we're going to capture and communicate back to you. And then in our tax page, I'll show you how we can add your CPA as either a tax-only participant in the Arch experience. So there needs to be no more sharing amongst the end LP or your advisor and wrangling all the K1s. So without further ado, I'm going to get to our homepage, show you a quick overview of what our platform really entails, how you can use it, and any questions that come up, we'll read them in the chat and try to answer at the end of the call. So this is the landing page of Arch. It's designed to show the total value across all of your holdings, any outstanding tasks like a capital call that you might have coming up. We'll let you know what your unfunded commitment is across those positions. We'll give you some visualization of the asset allocation of what you own and what's the percentage of your portfolio. And we'll tell you the value and how it's changed over time as we've collected more information from these managers. And then at the bottom, it's more of a news feed of, what's been received, how it's been categorized, and how it might be impactful to you.
Robbie, another cool thing that we like about the feature is anything that's kind of that light blue color is hyperlinked. So if you see account statement and you're kind of curious and you want to look further into it, you can just click on it. And as Robbie mentioned in the digest, it'll pull up that source document right away for you.
Yep, great point, Jake. So that account statement right here from Millennium, and then you can see the extraction that Arch is providing on the right side. This extraction will ultimately flow into our holdings page, which represents a balance sheet view of your assets. So again, we'll see some high-level portfolio metrics here, your unfunded commitments, and then all of this data and documents can be sliced and diced in each and every way. So you can see the asset type. Maybe we're just interested in our private credit positions. There's a lot of talk about that in the industry. And then we can also provide some AI summaries on these investments as well. So this is something that we've recently incorporated. And when we get into a specific position, you can see a little bit more of how we're showing you and adding additional value. Oh, sorry about that. So for St. Mark's Credit Fund, you can see that each dot on this chart represents a communication that we've received and tangentially how it affects the value of that asset. We're providing a holding level summary, obviously leveraging AI here, where it's parsing through all of the manager communications. We have a breakout for financials, as well as providing all of the updates that we've received in a summarized fashion for you. All the files associated with this investment will be living here. Any information about the fund, we'll break out the specific financials and cash flows associated with all these assets as well. So this is your deep dive into each unique position. Moving forward, I want to touch on our tax page. This is where you're going to be able to see a different status on each K1 or 1099 investment you might have with the firm, and you can see a unique status that's established here. If we receive an estimate, a K1 or something final, it's going to be down here in dark green. And then we have the ability to invite an accountant that you might be using that's doing the returns for you. Another benefit of Arch is our team has the ability to do proactive outreach and track these tax documents based on an expected date. So if we're past an expected date for a final K1 from some fund, our team can actually outreach to our firm contacts there to ensure that we're going to get this in a more accurate time and manner, kind of alleviating the pain from you from maybe calling an investor relations team and trying to get that K1. We can also invite our accountant and give them specific role access. They can get full access to the platform, but most CPAs are just getting the tax-only invite, and they're notified of any time Arch receives a draft, an estimate, or a final K1. So helping expedite that end of season, end of tax year extension period. And then lastly, I'll just show you our task page. And this is a place where you can kind of take action on anything that might be outstanding. So if you receive a new capital call, we're going to automatically create a task for you where you can come in and fulfill that capital call. So it's a good way to track outstanding commitments that need to be fulfilled, the timeline of it, and then ultimately making that payment. But at the end of the day, we're always going to notify you via that daily digest. So you'll have, great usability and understanding of what's going on across there.
Awesome. Thank you, Robbie. It looks like we had a few questions popping in the Q&A. So I'm going to read out the first one. Will all of the transaction history be brought over since inception on each of the alternative investments? The answer is yes. We've been working really hard in the background to populate all this historical data for your investments with 1900, and we're super happy that that's going to be the case. It's going to allow you to see your insights since inception on your alternative holdings. Another question in the chat. Will there be an app for Arch? Robbie, I'm going to turn it over to you guys for this one.
Yeah, so right now, everything is web-based for Arch, and we do not have any plans to launch an app, but it can be used on mobile, on an iPad, or on a laptop.
Awesome. Thank you, Robbie. Well, thank you all for joining today. It looks like we don't have any more questions in the chat. We'll give it a few minutes or so while we kind of wrap up. But again, Matt and I are incredibly pleased to launch this to you guys. It's been a long time in the making, and we think this will meaningfully improve everything in your alternative investment portfolio in terms of reporting, organization, et cetera.
Yeah, and
Well,
this is Matt. Just to reiterate, we've been using the software for some time, and the Daily Digest. I can't reiterate how wonderful it is to have that aggregated information source to you every day. So that's your point of contact on any communications, capital calls, cash flows, any events that are happening in any of your investments. That is such a useful tool, and we love it. So it looks like there's another question that popped in, Jake, on the Q&A.
yeah, I'm happy to take this one. Two of the same questions. What's the implementation date and when will this go live for investors? So we're working on finalizing your credentials and making sure that invites are sent out. I'd expect these to come in the next week or two, but we're super happy to have these out to you guys and to have you guys on the platform and seeing this thing firsthand.